So many intricacies to that game and that interview in particular that we want to look at. Kyle, when you listen to his answer, Caleb Williams, the fact that he just played in his first game, #1 overall pick, to have all of those answers and that tone about his team, again, continues to impress.
He was great on all that stuff. I mean, if you watched that game and he was incredibly underwhelming, but they won, you're like, what's this guy got to say for himself afterwards? And he hit every single thing. I got to play better. I got to do better. The special team was great. The defense was great, but we got the win, and that's what's important. I don't care about stats. That's great. He was really good there because he wasn't good in the game, but that's all right. You know what he didn't do? He didn't do in the game? He didn't have any turnovers. He did not throw a stupid interception. We saw, Bo Nix threw a terrible interception. We saw right there, Will Levis threw a terrible interception. Caleb didn't do any of that. He missed throws. He missed deep throws. He missed this throw. He missed that throw. He managed the game. He had one delay of game penalty. He had no turnovers. And if I sound like I'm being an insufferable suck-up, fine. I'm telling you, he was not good in this game. And it was as if Lovey was there coaching. It was a young Rex Grossman. And they're like, just give it to Hester, Urlacher, and Briggs and let them win. And Mike Brown will have some interception for a pick six. It was really like a throwback to 2006. They won the game. The Bears usually don't win. They won week 1, #1 overall pick, starting their first game, almost never win. Lot to work on, a lot for Caleb, but you don't need me to say it because he said it the second the game was over. Bears won, didn't turn it over. I think there's a lot to build on.
Yeah, look, the last #1 overall pick to win their week 1 game was David Carr, all the way back in 2002. So it's not often the #1 pick comes out and just rolls. But Caleb did not play well. I mean, that was not like a good performance. In fact, some of the footwork was awful. It looked like we were watching all the bad stuff from USC, the tendencies that he kind of freelances. Like, he was not good, but he didn't have to be good when the special teams and the defense were excellent. Like, this could be the story of the Bears. We did Hard Knocks, and we're talking all about the offense and all the weapons, but, like, gosh, what they did in the second half, and I got to give a shout-out to Richard Hightower, who's the special teams coach of the Chicago Bears, because these guys won the game for him. That's Jonathan Owens, who I think deserves to be called Jonathan Owens without all the other adjectives about who he's married to.
Yeah.
He's that good. And then the defense, spectacular when they had to be. Look, Jalen Johnson's a stud. Kevin Byard's a stud. Montez Sweat is a stud. They are loaded on defense and special teams, too. And if you're a Bears fan, you might not feel great about Caleb Williams' performance, but you have to feel really good about waking up with a W, especially in a game where they were down early and it looked like this was going to be an all-time bust. But I didn't think Caleb played well, and I do have concerns if that's what you're going to get this season. Hopefully he improves, but that was not a good effort.
No, it wasn't a good effort, and I love the self-awareness. Kyle, you were talking about that. I think for any player to have that self-awareness, that does give a sign that he is going to get better. You start pointing fingers and saying, this other person, it was the line, it was the receivers, there's some trouble there. But it takes time to adjust to this game. I think the success that he had during the preseason and all the stuff that we kind of fell in love with, the pageantry of the HBO Hard Knock special, it's totally different when week 1 starts. And I think Caleb Williams, he knows that, he sees that, and he's going, okay, I have to recalibrate. And that's all you can do in this situation is recalibrate, because the spinning around, the stuff that he had success with, you remember that play that we all loved during the preseason?
Yeah.
We saw that a couple of times in this game, and it was like, nuh-uh, I'm right there. Yeah, them big boys at 350 pounds, oh, yeah, they'll come up on you, and they'll close that ground very quickly. And so I just think that Caleb Williams, he'll get into rhythm. He'll have his receivers. He's still got dogs at the receiver. Keenan Allen targeted 11 times, but of course only caught the ball 4 times. So that means there was some passes that were overthrown. There were passes that, of course, Keenan should have caught. DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, once they get settled into this offense, they're going to marinate. They're going to cook really good.
It almost makes me want to praise C.J. Stroud even more for what he did last year as a rookie, because I watched Caleb look like that yesterday. I looked like Jaden Daniels, who's my #1 breakout player of the year, and I do all this stuff. Jaden Daniels, he made mistakes left and right. And then Bo Nix, who was supposed to be Mr. Accuracy, threw 2 costly interceptions. It's really hard to be a rookie and start out of the gates. And C.J. Stroud did it with no issues and just steamrolled right through the NFL season last year. But I'm watching 3 rookies in their debuts all struggle mightily yesterday.
Yeah, Stroud is the one we're going to be looking at all year. I mean, I actually, while we're sitting here talking, I was like, what did C.J. Stroud do week 1? They got crushed by the Ravens, but he threw 44 passes.
Well.
He looked more competent than Caleb did yesterday. But I'm going to keep saying it all day. Week 1, week 1, week 1. And guess who Caleb plays in week 2? C.J. Stroud in primetime. Okay. So now we will have a direct comparison, and you got to do a lot better next week. And the first thing he said was, I got to play better. He knows. We'll watch next week. It'll be a great game.
Yeah, one thing you were saying, too, Peter, is when you look at C.J. Stroud, he did that with less talent, too, around him. You would argue that Caleb has way more talent than C.J. Stroud.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely, you tip your hat off to C.J. for what he did last year.
I think there's a mental side to this, too, for Caleb Williams. My lone thought is that you're down 17-3 as the #1 overall pick. You had 3 points in a half, and for you to come back, and frankly, it reminds me of that clip from Hard Knocks when someone asked him, do you ever get nervous? He's like, no, just that one time I was in high school and I threw 2 picks, then I came back and had a touchdown on a slant. Yeah, okay. This is this young man. It's going to take reps in terms of the accuracy and the completions and whatnot, but if you can keep your wherewithal in a game where you're down 17-3 at half, I think he'll be all right.